All right, this is the Red Carpet Report 2018 year in review. We're going to talk movies, we're going to talk TV, we're going to talk all sorts of hype, looking into 2019, and most of all, we're going to talk about why 2018 was incredible in the arts. I am very excited. I am Coy Jandreau, ready to lead this beast off.
Next we have...
I am Kevin J. Johnson, also known as KJ, writer for Red Carpet Report. Very excited to be here.
I'm JD, the producer of Red Carpet Report and wrangler of this weird group of people.
I'm David Nieves, also on the Red Carpet Report as the television villain.
Eric Szymanski here, also representing the Red Carpet Report.
High five, Eric.
Word.
Woo!
They are our resident movie reviewers.
So we know what we're talking about.
No.
We like to think so, don't we?
Yes.
We know how to pretend we know what you're talking about.
Right. I didn't like Venom. Sorry, I put it out there. I'm sorry, I had to do it first.
I love Venom. So JD and I are the two loudest Venom fans probably on the internet.
I like Venom. I'm gonna.
We're kicking it off with Venom.
Thank
you.
Eric, you're surrounded.
This
In a
is
web of Venom fans.
This lynch mob of Venom fans. I liked it. I mean, by no means was it the movie of the year, but I thought there was a lot of serviceable stuff in it, and compared to other things that have come out in 2018.
Compared to what else that came out in 20...
Well, you gotta remember, I'll talk about Green Lantern 2011. Let's talk about some Dark Days. Let's talk about Punisher. Dolph Lundgren Punisher.
I knew you were.
So I'm only going to compare Venom to Venom. Now, in my experience, Venom was not just exciting, but it was surprising. And in this incredible age of superhero content, having something surprise me was a testament to the glory that is Venom. The moment Eddie Brock / Tom Hardy got in a lobster tank, I knew what my life was. I knew my life was going to change. I knew I'd never be the same, and I haven't. The comedy in that movie, it was a Cronenberg body comedy horror written by Hunter S. Thompson, and I was here for it. Personally.
And it was unintentional comedy. I mean, nothing on that screen that made you laugh was actually intended to make you really laugh that hard. It just was this welcome surprise that they got away with.
Yeah, but it's like the whole point of Venom is even with Logan, like Logan needed to be R, Deadpool needs to be R, but I understand why Ryan Reynolds still wants to stay Deadpool in the MCU, so PG-13. Venom should have been an R, like a hard R, biting off heads. I want to see spinal cords and spinal fluid.
But $850 million is not something to be scoffed at.
You want to see spinal fluid in Aquaman.
Hey,
the man's got spinal fluid goals. Let him have his spinal fluid.
If you pour water into your spine, it becomes plasma blast. Awesome.
Could have just peed.
American control water. Can't she control your she's a blood?
I'm just saying, if everything's PG-13, then yeah, everything gets to 850 mil, everything gets $1 billion.
But not everything gets to 850 mil. That was a surprise even for them.
It beat out Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of PG-13 movies. There's not a lot of billion-dollar movies.
Right.
The billion-dollar mark does not get crossed often. So I'm going to give Venom more credit than a lot of people do because
that's fair.
It's not something that people expected. It's not something that was supposed to have legs. They dropped it in October.
Yeah.
You don't hear $850 million and Venom in a sentence, much less 850 Venom PG-13 October. That's a hell of a sentence.
Okay.
So for me, what really impressed me was that not only was the marketing geared towards, they did a bait and switch, which I thought was brilliant. They advertised it as the movie that Venom fans thought they wanted, and then they gave us the movie we didn't know we ever dreamed of.
Okay.
So the movie was advertised as a sci-fi film, which is Venom, but it was a body horror comedy, which is not a Venom that a lot of people perceive it as. But if you read the old Todd McFarlane stuff, he's laughing at his own jokes to himself while beating up bad guys, and that movie felt like that to me.
Do you think audiences is going to come back for Cletus Harrelson?
Guaranteed.
Okay.
It's going to make $1 billion too. Venom 2 is going to have an even bigger market.
Woody Harrelson just looked ridiculous though in that.
Well,
yeah, but he's supposed
anytime
to.
you give him hair.
Yeah.
That's true. Like Woody Harrelson with hair is like always Hunger Games.
Spoiler alert. Oh yeah, spoilers over the whole
There were
thing.
two things with hair that just didn't make sense this year. Woody Harrelson at the end of Venom and John Cena with his hair.
So
A year in hair
moves us
review.
into the Bumblebee. Who's right?
Wait, I
Bumblebee,
think this is a year of surprises. I thought Bumblebee was going to be the sad Paul Bearer burial, but no, I was like, Travis Knight hit it out the park. I should have given more credit after Kubo and Two Strings. Haley Steinfeld, Magnetic, just really focusing on Bumblebee and the two triple changer Decepticons was like, yeah, that's really all you need. It was basically this Amblin tribute. I thought it was extremely well done.
And Bumblebee is really it shows what you can do when you give something to the right people instead of people who just are like, oh yeah, I love that stuff. I'm going to give you everything from my childhood, but you didn't know that you wanted all these explosions and bathtubs flying everywhere.
Yeah. Well, audiences have started, talking back. I think after Transformers 2 almost hit $1 billion with not even a script, and then Darker the Moon $1 billion, Age of Extinction $1 billion, right? It took The Last Night almost, torpedoing in the box office to say, hey, let's try something else. Let's make a Transformers movie for kids.
Whoa.
What?
Poor Anthony Hopkins, man.
Oh.
Well, that's what I think all the time. Poor Anthony Hopkins. Now, what I was really impressed by with Transformers was we've had 5 of these movies, and I'm putting movies in quotes for our audio listeners. Now, which you all are. Now, I think the really impressive thing for me was that we've had 5 movies, and this was such a different action style. Not only was it a different directing style, but they used the inertia of the transformation to cause the fight choreography. So I was really impressed with when it turned from a plane into a car, they used the momentum. When it turned from a car into a robot, they used the momentum. And that was a lot more like the animated series. It was kind of like when you read a comic, seeing between the frames. And I thought Spider-Verse did that really well. It was like seeing between the frames of the show, between the frames of the comic. And I think Bumblebee really landed a visual style that I didn't know the Transformers could represent.
Yes.
And it was better than I thought it could ever be.
Yeah, it wasn't overcompensating for trying to bring this cartoon into live action, and it was also Travis Knight being an animator. Correct me if I'm wrong. CEO of Leica Entertainment, right?
Yeah.
So took that anime.
Also, I think the son of the guy who
Phil Knight.
Phil Knight, yeah.
Shit, so he's comfy.
Yeah. So he's been playing with those toys.
He's always got good shoes.
Yeah, he also like the risk ratio.
Like, as someone who always values good shoes, I look at Travis Knight and I'm like, you got the kick game going.
We're talking Nike's. They've been smart. They've been smart with Kaepernick, but really, best product placement of the year has to go to Miles Morales.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Air Jordans and Spider-Verse. Eric, did you get a chance to see Into the Spider-Verse?
I loved Spider-Verse. I didn't really... When I saw the end scene at the end of Venom, I sat through the whole thing. I thought, I don't care, but I gotta tell you...
You sat through the whole thing.
I sat through the whole thing because...
Movie of the year.
Eric was right behind Coy Jandreau.
That's how I knew you. That's how I met too. I remember I saw you at a screening. That was the screening I saw them at.
So we were in the dead center of the theater, the 3 of us, and we're like, yeah, woo! And
Having
then
the
there's
best
Eric
time.
right behind us.
Hating. Hate.
But like verbally
That
hating it,
hit me.
and I didn't know it was you because I just literally heard someone behind me like, and I was like, Venom!
Yes, I was the grumpy old man right behind you.
I was 100% a Hot Topic boyo. Like I was in that movie for all the wrong reasons.
I knew
about
you.
it. That's funny.
Right.
I was such a loud Venom fan. I got the Blu-ray 2 weeks early and signed by Todd McFarlane. Like that
I
life,
thought you were
life
kidding.
found a way. No.
Like I actually thought, these guys are kidding, right?
I loved it, man.
And then I saw you guys in the lobby. I thought, oh no, they're real. This
They're
is
smiling.
real.
There they are in real
Yeah,
life.
I'm validating my parking. Like, what the? Yeah.
He was following the noises of Glee.
Right. I was like, what is this?
I think
Not-
my exact yell was like, "This is gold," and like where it all started to pick up.
You were in front of me too, weren't you?
Yeah. It was
Oh,
the-
God,
Way to
this
go.
is...
I
Grand
admit,
all
like
the time.
in the first 30-ish minutes of Venom 45,
Yeah.
I was cringing a lot because it just kept trying to hit me with Eddie Brock, and you got to feel sympathy for this guy and do
Why
all
is
that.
Michelle Williams in this movie? She's
Yes, why
outacting
was she?
everybody. Because you need someone of her caliber
Just say that last
to
line.
sell that movie. Because who cares? Like, oh yeah,
Yeah, me. I
Eddie's
didn't.
got a girlfriend that he kind of like betrayed her trust. But then, like, she saved the day.
Okay, I love how this whole conversation came back to Venom. We're here to talk about
2018,
Yeah,
Year of Venom.
2018. Year of Venom.
I mean, no, but overall, it was really like a Spider-Man year. When
Yeah.
you
Oh,
like
dude.
look at
Right.
Infinity War,
Game.
Venom,
Spider-Man
Yes.
PS4.
Spider-Man PS4, Spider-Verse. Like this was a big Spider-Man.
And this was an IP that a lot of people had given up hope on. The Spider-Man property itself is gold in the comics. It's gold. Look, when you mentioned Spider-Man, but if you look at the movies, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is what it was. Amazing
Ugh.
Spider-Man 1 arguably is what it was. And a lot of people, I think, had given up on that hope. Tom Holland really surprised everyone in Civil War, and then the momentum didn't stop.
Yeah.
The momentum from Civil War carried us over to 2018. That game was long in development. They knew what they had, but I don't think anyone expected to be the top-selling game and outsell Homecoming.
Yeah.
That game really changed the I think we're going to look back on 2018 like we look back on 2008 with Iron Man, with Spider-Man.
One of the best
The
shows
game is
of
going to
the-
be the MCU star.
Yeah, one of the best shows of the year was PS4 Spider-Man.
Yeah.
There's like one of my favorite side quests is to fake Spider-Man. It's like it's straight out.
yeah.
It's straight out just playing a comic book. It's like and just even just a one-off issue that you just pick up at
Yeah.
the grocery store. It's like, oh, this is great, and I have to save this guy who thought he could be Spider-Man. It was just Glee.
And I got to play a Scarlet Spider for hundreds of hours, and I never thought that was going to happen in my life.
And the game is still giving because they just released a second DLC.
Right. No, third.
Or
Silver Lining.
Third.
Silver Lining.
Jeez.
And you can play the Sam Raimi Spidey suit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Can we, actually, while we're on this, can we just say that fandom has reached an all-time high in quality and an all-time low in tolerance? Because I am a hardcore comic fan. I talk about comics on every channel on the internet. I am loud. I am very happy to be a nerd. The Sam Raimi suit is the biggest example of, guys, be patient, let the creators create, don't be toxic, don't ruin things. They were working on the Sam Raimi suit since the game came out. They were trying to make sure it was right, and you complained through 3 DLCs, you made yourselves look like assholes, and then it existed, and then you were like, oh, they only did that because we complained. Like, way to add insult to injury and make yourself look worse. I think there's nothing worse than a fan that doesn't respect the creators, and that's part of why I love Venom, is it was like, look, we're going to make something weird, deal with it. So there's nothing worse to me than a loud comic book fan saying, screw you to a creator. This is from they're bleeding this for you. They're sweating this for you. Be positive. Be useful.
There's always going to be that line. I mean, I get it. I wasn't a big fan of the outrage. Obviously, there's always a line. It's like people, even if you complain about something, you still gave them your money, and at the end of the day, that helps get things made. The reaction to like the Raimi suit coming out was like so awful to see, like acclaimed victory by a vocal minority. And I mean, because they don't know, like they most of the people that complain about this, that buy games, that do all this stuff, they've never made a game. They don't know the hours and hundreds of people it takes just to we want to put some of this super fine grass into this game. We got to hire an animator to get that right. Got to hire a coder. Got to test it. There's all these steps, and especially when you're dealing with property that's basically being shared by all these people, the levels of approvals that you have to get
literally, like,
astronomical.
Jump through like hula hoops.
I mean, I absolutely love Insomniac for what they did. I was at an art gallery for the art of the game right after that book came out, and I saw Bill Roseman from Marvel Games and Brian Inethar,
the director,
the game director, and it was just, hey man, you know what? You got to say thank you to those guys, because they could have done any other thing. Being a Spider-Man fan and seeing it done again, especially for a property that's had games already. I mean, to go this route and to do it the way they did it, to take all those chances, I say thank you. I get it. There's always going to be outrage, never going to please everybody, and it sucked to see all this stuff.
I think a lot of fans are forgetting, once again, I remember dark days of adaptations. Like, I was there for E.T., the Atari game.
Oh, yeah, me too, right?
You know, like, I was there
Yeah,
for...
you
We were
fell
there
down
for
the pit?
Batman and
The
Robin.
legend. Yes.
We were there for Spawn. Shout out to Michael Jai White. That was
I like
not your
Batman
fault.
and Robin.
But look, and there was a version
Chill.
of, I think, like, the lowest in recent memory.
Chill out, good boy.
The worst adaptation I can think of is Stephen Summers' G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra, where he basically had an aborted script called Accelerator, an exosuit script that he retooled into G.I. Joe. Like, they were like, screw G.I. Joe, forget fans, forget the IP, I'm going to do my thing because no one else is going to do it. And we are so far from those days. We got the Russo brothers killing it, like with Infinity War.
Remember when we got Battleship with Rihanna?
And they're not sinking this Battleship.
That wasn't even that long ago, right?
Yeah, that was
Oh,
recent.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying, is we're accelerating at such a rate that don't come... So if you've ever created something, dear listener, and you've had, say, 100 comments on the YouTube, and there's one negative comment, you don't remember the 99, you remember the one, and that's just how our brains work. I think it's an evolutionary tick. I don't know sociology or psychology. This is my theory. I think evolutionarily what we do is we remember the negative, so it causes growth, it causes pain, it causes us to evolve. So we remember the one negative instead of the 99 positive as a horrible frick up of genetics. And what happens is these creators, it doesn't matter how much money they made. It doesn't matter what they had. They remember that one negative comment, or in this case, the thousands of negative comments about the Sam Raimi suit. So they gave you a gift. They gave you art, and they remember the Sam Raimi complaints. So screw you for doing that to these amazing creators.
And like, especially like in a games culture where everything is sold, like the littlest things, just... Hey, let's nickel and dime everybody.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how much money you make. Like, I can work a red carpet and make 10 grand, or I can work a red carpet and make $500, or I can make $0. But if I see a negative comment, that's what sticks. I don't remember the grand in my bank account a year later. I remember that asshole. So just be kind to creators and let them make art. Yeah, beeps.
And also, if you're flying for the holidays and you see a TSA agent, wave and say Merry Christmas because they're not getting paid and they can make things difficult for you. All right.
Shout out to Spirit Airlines.
Shout out to Spirit Airlines.
Only $15
Eric
for
is
your
over here just like freaking out because he doesn't have a PlayStation, so he hasn't played
Oh,
Spider-Man game.
I do have a PlayStation.
2.
I'm up to 4.
but you have like yeah.
I'm surrounded by assholes, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry here.
And you'll
Every
remember.
time-
yeah,
every time-
and I'm, exactly.
Every time Coy says Venom, Eric just starts to react like when Venom hears that sound frequency.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Sonics.
I'm trying to be nice. Once Venom came up, I took the biggest bite of the sandwich I'm eating right now, just to stay quiet. Nice Run the Jewels track on the Venom soundtrack.
Yeah.
Shout out to Run the Jewels.
Royal
Right.
Blue.
See, you can always have 2 scoops of raisins.
2018.
Okay.
All right.
Around the table, best movie of 2018.
Oh.
Oh,
Captain.
I'm gonna take shit for this. A Star Is Born. I love A Star Is Born.
I applaud that
Never
choice.
thought that.
I applaud that choice.
I mean, shout out to Mahershala Ali in Green Book. Shout out to Into the Spider-Verse, which is, I think, the top artistic achievement of 2018.
Figured that.
But A Star Is Born is just really about empathy. It's about the vein of self-destruction in art if you're not careful. I did not know Bradley Cooper could direct. I did not know Lady Gaga could act. And
I knew Lady Gaga could act. I mean,
Yeah.
American Horror Story.
Oh, see, I wasn't watching American Horror Story, but
For the 3 people still watching.
How much poker face was in the Star Wars? That's what I want.
maybe a little bit in the SNL performance, but no, they just all around just a great, fantastic job. They put everything into it, and it shows.
Okay.
So that's me.
JD.
I am still shook about Infinity War. Like, despite everything else that's come out, like Infinity War and Black Panther were this year. And
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like it. It feels like that was 5 years ago. But recent favorite is probably A Simple Favor, which is
The
Blake
Anna
Lively,
Kendrick and
and
yeah.
Anna
Oh,
Kendrick.
that was a great
Yeah.
movie. Yeah.
which I don't want to spoil anything, but goddamn, that movie is well worth the watch. Davey.
This is going to be out of left field. I mean, Spider-Verse and all that stuff is great, but there's just already so many people picking that stuff. The thing that I remember the most about 2018 was The Predator. Shane Black's Predator.
Oh, that's your favorite?
You remember it positively?
I hate.
I had a good time with it. Sometimes that's all you need. That's all you need a movie for.
I would love to hear this, please.
Please go on.
I mean, I really can't even remember. Look,
Yeah.
I love, obviously, first Predator. Predator 2 I even loved. I had Danny Glover and Gary Busey. It was
Predators.
great. Predators. I liked it.
Yeah.
This, I liked. It didn't really go away from anything. It gave me more of what I wanted. I mean, what's the dude from This Is Us?
Sterling K. Brown stole that movie.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Obviously, stole the movie. Olivia Munn was kind of just there.
Yeah, she was a little bit of a Mary Sue.
Yeah.
They stole 3. I mean, 3 of her scenes had to go away. 2 of her scenes
Yeah.
went away because of a certain situation.
Yeah,
and
because-
explained
and
who she was, and then they were like, "But look, now she's here." And you're
Yeah.
like, "Wait, who is?"
And
she?
I don't want to disqualify movies because of situations surrounding them. Like, I can like a product or a piece of art and maybe not like the person who made it. There's a lot of that in this world.
What I will take away from Predator, The Predator, was Trevante Rhodes was phenomenal. He was also like best known for Moonlight, and he made me think, oh, he would be perfect as Isaiah Bradley if they ever did
I
Red,
love
White,
that.
and Black, the story of the Black Captain
Oh, yeah,
America,
yeah.
like the Tuskegee Airmen version of Captain America. He
And
would be perfect. For that.
And I like even like the parts, the comedy parts, like Keegan Michael Key.
Yeah.
And it's
Thomas
fine.
Jane.
It all worked. It's not going to be the Oscar movie of
Yeah.
the year, but it's a movie that it's like, hey, I look back on it, I liked it, I had a good time with it, and I don't want to pick everything that everybody else is already picking.
And I think that's going to be the movie that keeps Shane Black from doing Doc Savage, though,
Ooh.
because
I want
he
that so
needed
bad.
the Predator to do well. Because I wanted to see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Shane Black's Doc Savage, and now I don't think we're going to. Eric, movie of the year.
Well, your answer of The Predator brought up my next topic, which was going to be what was my biggest disappointment of the year. But we'll get to that next.
Oh, fired.
I mean, knee-jerk reaction. I'm going to say my favorite of the year was Avengers, but it's already been
feels so
covered,
long ago.
so I'm just gonna say it. I enjoyed Solo. I don't care.
Another
See?
controversial choice. I respect
Another
it.
controversial choice.
I would not mind you expounding on Solo because I am a big Star Wars fan from birth, and Solo hurt me.
I would have rather seen a movie about Solo cups.
Much
That's-
love, Alden.
Big ups to Alden, big ups to Donald. But
Yeah, I want to give them love because it wasn't on them. Alden Ehrenreich did his thing. Donald Glover always doing his thing. Donald Glover exists cooler than any of us.
man, tell me about it. I can't rock a cape to save my life.
Nobody can.
Yeah.
Donald Glover doesn't know what to do.
But listen, you saved your disappointment, and I'll save mine. So please, so please.
It had the new shiny Millennium Falcon in it. I was really impressed with Donald Glover's Lando Calrissian. Muddy Chewbacca taking a shower with Han Solo. Spoiler alert. I mean, come on, if we ever seen that before, we'll probably never see that again. So, it could have used Lobot. I will say, I kind of wish we met Lobot, Lando's sidekick in this movie. But, I mean, you could slap the Star Wars logo on anything, and I'm going to be there, and I'm going to enjoy it, with the exception of the holiday special and Attack of the Clones. But
I like that you just reinforced that in the original Star Wars movies, the Millennium Falcon was essentially a used car.
Yeah.
exactly right.
He was basically a space trucker. He was like, no.
Oh, have you ever seen Space Truckers?
Oh,
I was gonna say,
Square pigs.
Oh no, sorry.
Slap a Star Wars logo over space truckers.
Do not Google Space Truckers, ladies and gents, if you're listening. Don't Google. Don't.
But yeah, and then like, he took this hoopty and then just like pimped it out, and then Han Solo's like, "Can I borrow the keys for a minute?" and just destroys it.
Oh yeah.
I got to give credit to Solo. The opening act that a lot of people had a problem with was my favorite. Was when it felt like an actual war.
Yeah.
Star Wars has never felt like war to me. The sci-fi element always took me out of the war. And when they were on that planet that was fighting, I felt like we were watching a war film, but in
Right,
a world I
right.
didn't know, and I really liked that.
Yeah.
So I've got a bunch because I'm an OCD person, and I keep a list of every
Oh.
movie I've seen all year with letter grades because I have a problem. I do this with comics, I do this with TV shows, I do this with experiences. I literally track my life.
What do you grade this experience right now?
Right now we're doing great. We got a
Oh,
B minus, B.
okay.
He's
All
got a
right.
good sandwich.
All right.
Yeah, I got a sandwich. I got a sweatshirt. I'm golden.
Yeah.
So I think that Avengers needs to be talked about. Spider-Verse needs to be talked about. Black Panther needs to be talked about. All these larger films are not just blockbusters, but they're incredible. So that's a first when 2018, the Oscar conversation is happening, and it's not just 20-year-olds going, please. So that is definitely worth the conversation. But Annihilation was this year, and I think Annihilation was the first
Yeah.
time I thought I was on drugs that I wasn't. Annihilation was a theatrical experience that made me feel like someone had put LSD in my popcorn, which could be fun. I also think that Quiet Place is a technical achievement that I didn't think a lot of people were expecting. Love it or hate it, you can't deny that the use of sound, like AV is so obvious, but we never think about scratching the A and changing things. It was a silent film that was used aggressively, and I love the silence as an offense, because it's something that I love when movies do that thing and you're like, oh, that's so obvious, why didn't I think of that? The movie. And that was A Quiet Place. I also loved Upgrade because it was a Venom movie that all the people that didn't get the R-rated movie wanted got. So if you wanted an R-rated Venom, you got it this year. It was
What's
called
this
Upgrade.
movie? Because I got to watch this.
Upgrade's
Upgrade.
from Blumhouse.
Okay.
So I also want to give some love to cockblockers for being so sex positive. I really think that a generation of kids having an American Pie that touts sex as a positive and to have conversations with your family is really important. A movie about your rights and about like all kinds of love not being over heavy-handed. Like a sex comedy that involves gay rights that isn't like, it's okay. Like I love This Is Us, but come on, sometimes we need the other side too. So I really
And it's
liked...
got John Cena.
And it's got John Cena, Year of John Cena. I want to give some love to Instant Family because it was advertised as a comedy and it wasn't. Instant
Oh.
Family is a tearjerker. Instant Family is... I cried 3 times during Instant Family. It's a movie about adoption that takes it so seriously that makes you appreciate a kind of family that doesn't get love in film. It makes you appreciate an entire different dynamic of American culture that doesn't get enough like light shined on it. So Instant
So it's
Family...
a better version of Adam Sandler's Blended.
Most things are. And then, I mean, I've got a ton of these. Mission Impossible Fallout, brilliant.
Oh, man.
But I want to land on, I think, my favorite movie of the year besides the popcorn Marvel glory was, and Aquaman's dope too, was Blindspotting. Because Blindspotting is a movie about hip-hop culture. It's about 2018. It's about basically what it's like to grow up and become your dreams and to overcome the strife of your world, but it doesn't land on a fairy tale ending. It stays real throughout, and the format of the film is effectively a Disney movie. If you really break it down, anytime they're under duress, they break out into song, but instead of it being like a crazy ballad, it's a hip-hop anthem, and the battle rap used in that film, the lyrical wordplay, and the way the film evolves as they're rapping, and then the way it handles gun violence and domestic assault and Oakland and growing up in the hood. It is an inspired film that is the most important film of the year, and the fact that it was handled so beautifully makes it my 2018.
Wow. Shout out to Davey Diggs.
Yeah,
from
and Raphael
Hamilton.
Cassell.
Indeed, yeah.
yes.
Raphael Cassell and David Diggs
Yes.
really made it work this year. So that was like my top 10, my bad. But I love this year's films.
You reminded me, I'm going to give an honorable mention to Sorry to Bother You from
yeah.
Boots Riley. The less you know about this film, the better. But definitely go see it. You will not know what will hit you.
I love the ironies of this year. Is like, arguably the whitest person at this table picked Blindspotting.
and the blackest person at this table picked the Stars Born, baby. We
And-
did it.
And
We have overcome.
when you think about it,
Yes, we fixed it.
and when you think about it,
It's our own
Black
book.
Black Panther T'Challa is played by a guy named Chadwick.
Mhm.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's what's happening in the positive. I think as much as the government is failing us, and I think as much as the world is crumbling around us, we're actually art is allowing things to be solved. And at the end of the day, when we're under pressure, like diamonds get formed under pressure, right? I think when we're under pressure, the best art gets made. So as the oceans are burning and as children are starving and getting detained, art is fire. So since I'm not in politics, I can't speak on politics, but I can speak on the art coming out of this horrible time being incredible.
Speak.
Coin for president 2020.
2020. All right, so let's move on to.
I just said
Let's
LSD
go to
popcorn.
TV now.
Okay,
On the TV?
Yeah.
TV. I'm going to start because this is going to be the nerdiest thing, and nobody at this table is probably going to know.
DC
what I'm
Universe?
talking about. No. I mean, there were
Titans.
Legion.
Okay, all right. Titans surprised
So
me.
it's not going to be the nerdiest thing on the table.
It's not. No. Okay. Titans surprised me. Daredevil season 3 was great.
Oh.
Even Iron Fist really kind of redeemed itself. But I had one moment in television that just was like, all right, this is my 2018 moment in television,
The Purge.
and it was none of that. It was wrestling.
Oh.
It was Monday Night Raw,
Go
right before Survivor Series. The
Eric's
invasion
cuddling
angle.
up to Davey now like a
Becky Lynch, Becky Lynch, who's
The tone has changed in
who's
this
the
room.
hottest thing in wrestling today, goes. She puts Ronda Rousey in her arm bar, and then she proceeds to just take on all the women on that show. And then during the course of it, she gets rocked in the face, and she just starts bleeding all over the place. And you can't have blood on wrestling television these days, but it's just there. She looks like something out of Rambo, going through war, and she's just standing there at the end of this in all the bloody glory, spouting off and talking crap, and it's just the best thing that was ever on television.
No, that sounds intense. That's something that Mankind would have done back in the day. So,
Yeah, she's my Stone Cold Steve Austin now, so it's sort of just that's my 2018 moment in television.
Okay, Becky Lynch.
Ooh.
That's wow. That's I like you again. Let me just say, I have to think about. Please, someone
Oh,
else.
yeah.
Go- Yeah.
Well, the Titans. Titans is something that
It took a while for me to get into.
Yeah, because it came out. Well, the trailer was deceptive because it made you think this is going to be Nolan-y. It's dark. It's gritty.
Oh, it's dark and it's.
It is very dark and gritty, but the context that the trailer puts you in versus how the show goes.
Yeah.
The show also had a very rocky start. It was originally going to be on TBS, and it was just going to be hey, we're going to do more of a prestige version of the superhero soap operas that we've got on the CW.
It was still Berlanti stretching his
Yeah.
legs, right?
Which Berlanti has proven he can stretch his legs into any shape he wants. He's a genius. But where I like Titans, I'm very vocal in saying that Titans is the best, hands down, adaptation of any DC characters in live action.
Yeah, and I for me, Titans, it was the Jason Todd episode that introduced them that just turned me around on the whole thing.
Curran.
And it even got me into because I would watch Titans at the gym. I get it and I just watch it, and it just turned me on. After that, it turned me on to even the theme now is it's stuck in my head, and I love that.
Hawk and Dove. No one has cared about Hawk and Dove, but the Hank and Dawn episode had me crying.
I still don't like that. It's just emphasizing on how much Dick Grayson has sex.
Oh yeah, there's
Brendan Thwaites can get it.
He
Out of-
outsexes everybody.
out of everybody
in the
on the
real
show,
world.
he has slept with everyone except for Raven so far.
Oh,
That's a little because
Spoilers.
underage.
season
Yeah.
3. We'll
We might
figure
we
out.
might have to scrub this part. But no, I didn't think they was gonna bring Donna Troy out. I didn't think they was
Yeah.
gonna do Doom Patrol. This is like
It's super
wow.
comic-y.
Yeah.
Brendan Fraser too. Like
Yes.
Oh,
that Doom
yeah.
Patrol episode
Yeah.
was that was awesome.
And I would say that comic books, they need to be, like, I would like to say HBO, they do like super expensive shows all the time, from Rome to all the way to Game of Thrones. So I like that DC's putting like actual money on Titans. I thought we were
Yeah.
going to get Asylum Productions to
Yeah.
Titans, and this is not. No, they're
It's
doing
Warner
it.
Brothers money behind it.
Okay.
It did kind of feel at first though like it was like Machinima making Titans like that
Yeah,
kind of a
like
budget.
the thing
As
that
it
Woody
went on, it got
Tondorf
better.
did.
Right, exactly. You got
Yeah.
to see more of the scope and the scale.
Yeah.
As the season went on.
I don't like that Beast Boy can only change into a tiger though.
So far.
Yeah, and the trauma that he kills someone and he's a vegetarian and he like has his like
Vegetarians can kill people too.
Oh, believe
They just
me,
can't
they
eat
do.
them.
But I loved every aspect of the show. It did start off a little rocky, where they're like, we want to make this basically like DC Daredevil, and by the fourth episode, the Doom Patrol episode, it finds its feet and then progresses deeper. I've never really cared why Dick Grayson stopped wanting to be Robin in the comics. I never quite got it. I just thought he aged out, and then Batman didn't have a Robin for a minute, and Jason Todd showed up, and then Batman's like, oh, this kind of works, having someone to distract people. But because of Titans, I understand Dick Grayson's evolution from Robin to Nightwing, which is where he's going to be.
Yeah, and spoilers, sorry. The fact that we didn't get there
Yeah.
is a little
I thought there was going to be a
disappointing
couple more episodes. I didn't realize episode 11 was the season finale for one.
I do like that it didn't shy away from like the Batman connection,
Yeah.
and kind of like how Smallville used to just like, oh, let me just
Oh.
tap that, but not really tell people
He's
that.
correct me if I'm
He's the
wrong.
Blur.
This is like the first time Batman's been depicted in live action television since I think the Birds of Prey pilot
Yeah.
on the WB.
Wow.
So it's
98.
been
They've
a
had
while.
some
yeah.
rights stuff where they've
Yeah.
kept him away, and they're loosening it
Big
up. I
three.
think what's happening is because he's going to be in the movies less, if at all.
Yeah.
They're loosening it up so he can be a TV
Okay.
caliber
Which
thing,
is why.
which is why he popped up in Elseworlds.
Well, I also got to say too, like and this is a tangent side note. I love Tyler Holson as Superman
Oh,
right now in
heck yeah.
CW.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk Elseworlds while we're on this. It's not. I
Oh,
want to get
yeah,
into my
yeah,
favorite
yeah.
real quick, but while we're on DC, Elseworlds was really impressive.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Elseworlds, yeah,
The
that was my
comedy-
second favorite thing of the year.
The Barry Oliver comedy was so good. The art style was great. I liked how they built Gotham. I liked the action styling. I liked the story. I enjoyed the Monitor more than I thought it would translate to TV. It was really impressive. It felt like a 3-hour movie to me.
I love that they went back to the Kent farm from
Dude,
Smallville.
that audio
Like,
somebody's-
Easter egg.
When that song hit,
Somebody
Oh, I got chills. I'm not gonna lie. I stood up. I was like, yeah.
say-
But my favorite of the year, I gotta say, I'm a This Is Us fiend,
Mm.
and man, This Is Us is still killing it. I really like that show. It's like weekly therapy. You can work through your shit.
I don't like to ugly cry.
Dude, it's such a good cry show. But if we're not gonna cry, Atlanta season 2 somehow beat Atlanta
Oh,
season
see,
1.
see, you
Um,
cut me. You beat me to the punch. But go ahead.
So-
Because I think we're gonna talk about the same thing.
So Atlanta,
yes.
the first season is like, hey, what if David Lynch and Richard Linklater had a baby? And I
Right.
was like, okay, what if? And the second season was like, what if you've never experienced in-camera editing and tangential storytelling before in your life, and you might have had some stuff slipped in your drink? The show.
Mm.
And the whole time, the comedy is subversive and unexpected. It's got layers of references. It takes the characters in directions you don't expect. The acting is top-notch. There's no format to the show. You can watch an episode, you can watch 3 episodes. It just goes at you.
Right.
And the first season did a really great thing where they had an entire commercial episode,
Oh.
and that I thought was the riskiest thing they do. And then the
Dodge
second
Charger.
season, they were like,
Yeah.
nope, that's not the riskiest thing we're going to do.
That's,
The second season of Atlanta, it opened with Alligator Man.
yeah, it's beautiful.
You bring Cat Williams back, and I'm listening. And you keep going from there with, like, Paperboy's career rise and fall you think is the plot of the show, but that's, like, the side hustle.
Right, exactly.
Like, Atlanta is so subversive, so important, so crazy. Donald Glover is, I think, the most important figure in pop culture entertainment.
Mm.
I think Donald Glover is more important than Berlanti, more important than whoever.
John Cena.
Like, I can't. There's
Well.
no one else doing so much for creativity.
I think no one else is showing
yeah.
the importance of finding your voice
Right.
and being true to your voice.
And he's doing that while making new music. He's doing that while writing comedy occasionally. He's doing that like off of TV shows. Like, there's literally nothing this guy can't do.
The scary thing is he hasn't even peaked yet.
No,
Right, right.
I was at his
And
last
he's already
concert.
done with music now.
He's done with Childish Gambino.
Yeah.
I think he might come back. Hopefully, as adolescent Gambino. I'm kidding, but I'm hoping he comes back as a new like entity. I saw his last concert on Monday. I was at the Forum for his last ever show,
Humble brag.
and I'm just saying it was pretty dope. But what he does with creativity, even on stage, versus what he does in Atlanta, versus what he does when he's writing, I don't think there's anyone else. We're gonna look back on him like Mozart.
Yeah.
Like Donald Glover, I think is our generation's Shakespeare.
Yeah, he was having one moment after another. The This Is America music video.
Yeah, dude.
Even the Emmys. More on that later, because I started watching Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and I gotta give props. I was mad. I was very mad that it beat Atlanta, but watching, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not mad anymore. I want to talk about the Teddy Perkins episode.
Oh,
Yes.
The Teddy
Yes.
Perkins episode is not only the scariest episode or short form film of the year, but it hit on a lot of topics. One of the things that Glover does and his team in Atlanta is they air out a lot of dirty laundry, and not in a gossipy way, but in a way that's meant to be healing, not just for the Black community, but for people who enjoyed pop culture in general. Namely, Michael Jackson, who's this global megastar, beloved, but he had a dark side, dark secrets, and not so secret dark secrets, because he was someone who bleached his skin, had extensive surgery, and he was rewarded by the world with mega stardom. And there's a darkness to that. There's a darkness that we validated Michael Jackson doing that to himself. And the Teddy Perkins episode mines all of that, the abuse of fame, the torture of fame, and just how everyone in that house gets destroyed except Lakeith Wakefield's character. It's like it's a tragic, haunting episode. I moved into a new apartment right before the Teddy Perkins episode came on, and to this day, I'm still not used to my apartment, and I still expect Teddy Perkins to be right around the corner.
That's amazing.
I open up the bathroom, there's Teddy Perkins, oh my God!
Also, if it was the year of Spider-Man, it was also the year of the Atlanta cast.
Yes.
Brian Tyree Henry
Woo!
blowing up Spider-Verse, all the movies he's in. all the things
Zazie
he's doing.
Beetz is
Zazie
Domino.
Beetz, Domino.
Yes.
Like at Stanfield and everything, including Sorry to Bother
Yep.
You. That entire cast, Donald Glover's like, these guys are going to be the next wave. Don't worry about it.
I
And
think-
then boom.
I think that was affected the structure of Atlanta season 2, because they were inspired by Tiny Toon Adventures, How I Spent My Summer Vacation, which each episode just centered on a character. And in doing that, Sazi got her episode, so Homeboys got to record Spider-Verse or whatever.
Mhm.
Brian Tyree got his episode, so Lakeith got to do Sorry to Bother You and Zazie with Deadpool and so on and so forth. So you had this cast where it's sort of like you don't have everyone shackled to the show having to be on set. Everyone knows that they're a part of the fabric of that world. So yeah, once again, big ups to Donald Glover, to Sazi, to Lakeith, and everyone else. But yeah, I have not finished Mrs. Maisel, but I ain't mad at you. It's a funny show. It's a good show. Go check out Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, but watch Atlanta first.
Watch Atlanta first.
All right.
All right, so what's the 2018 show?
I just did it. I think
Maisel.
You're amazing.
Atlanta and Maisel.
Atlanta Maisel.
Wow.
No,
Atlanta
no,
Maisel
no, no,
comedy
no.
show.
Atlanta and Atlanta.
Atlanta, yeah, for me it's Atlanta, this is us.
Maisel was an honorable mention for me not being pissed off at them winning the Emmy.
Ain't mad at you, Emmy.
Yes.
Acceptance. All right, I'm into it.
Hashtag holla if you Emmy.
All right. Eric,
Also-
you got?
I'm sorry. I want to finish my This Is Us
Okay.
thing. I forgot to mention it. If you don't watch This Is Us does a great thing where it has you identify with a character, and it actually kind of therapeutizes you, where you don't realize you're more like this person than that person. Like, I always thought I was a Jack, for example, but I'm not. I kind of want to be a Toby, but I'm really a Randall. Now, that will make sense to those of you that watch This Is Us. But what's interesting is Randall is Sterling K. Brown, and Randall goes through a full mental breakdown, is super neurotic, and deals with all of his stresses. I am super neurotic. I keep an alphabetical list of movies and stuff, and the way he solves his problems has actually helped me in my own life. So This Is Us is the most influential a show has ever been on me as an adult. It actually affects my day-to-day life in a way that I didn't think was possible. So This Is Us is great in that these people are solving problems, and you can have your problem solved by way of entertainment.
And once again, to prove that we overcome racism, Coy is Randall and I am Jack, and it's beautiful.
Sterling K. Brown's my favorite animal. It's the reason I like Predator.
Milo, I feel you, bro. I feel you.
That mustache is fire, bro. Respect. Yeah, this is great. And we fixed racism again.
And Eric?
Well, guys, that means I guess I'm a Toby. I'm a huge.
Dude, Toby's amazing.
I tell you, I'm a young Frankenstein fan. He has the poster in his apartment. He grew up a Star Wars nerd, much as I do, and big girls love him, just like me. So I would
Such a Toby.
definitely, right. I have hair, but I mean, I'd definitely be a Toby. As far as my show of the year for 2018, I normally would think of something that I really binged hard on, and I'm going to have to go with The Haunting of Hill House.
Mm.
I'm a horror aficionado. I don't scare easily, but I have to say, even watching this in broad daylight, there were some jump scares in that show that I sat on my couch like, whoa, that just happened. Broad daylight. She just popped out. You got me. And shout out to Elliot from E.T. for being the father in this. There were a lot of cute little references in there. It took place. The flashback scenes took place in the 80s. You saw the E.T. lunchbox. Speaking of the 80s, my other show would have to be Glow on Netflix.
Oh,
yeah.
Growing up a fan of the actual Glow, I definitely appreciated it with all the characters. Something to go Glow. And shout out to the series finale of The Americans. I don't know if you guys ever watched this show. Amazing show. So there's my pick.
Devastating ending, by the way.
Yeah.
You saw, okay, yes. Devastating ending. I'm just getting chills right now thinking about the U2 song. Yeah.
Is yours Daredevil?
Ooh.
We said Titans.
Yeah, I
You gonna stick with Titans?
there was a no. I love,
Don't be a white person in flip flop.
no. I love Titans, but then I also loved Lost in Space almost more than anyone should, and then
That robot
also
booty, though.
and then there was also Final Space, which went under everyone's radar.
Yeah,
it was
it did.
produced by Conan O'Brien. It's basically like Last Man on Earth in space, but animated, where the lead character is just completely neurotic and an idiot and screaming at all the time, but he somehow is able to surround himself with the best people humanity has to offer to save the galaxy from an evil midget version of David Tennant, who looks like an evil Yoda.
I need to watch this.
It's
That was a
only-
lot of words that didn't go together
Intrigued I am.
until now.
It's only 10 episodes long for the first season, and it ends with like the potential of a multiverse, and his father is voiced by Ron Perlman, because everyone's father should be voiced by Ron Perlman for like the flashback that
That's fair.
changes your life.
Yeah.
We accept that.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
Motion
Yeah.
passed.
It was super fun. There's a little floating alien thing called mooncake, which I have. I have my own mooncake stuffy because I was like, oh, that character. I saw that character and I was like, I love everything about that character, despite it literally just being like a green circle with like the two antenna, and it just says Jigglypuff.
All right.
This show sounds amazing.
Sold me.
But then there's also Lost in Space, which the original Lost in Space was set in the far-off year of 1998.
Yep.
30 years into the future.
Matt
Which-
LeBlanc.
Yes, yeah.
The
And
movie
then,
Matt LeBlanc.
and then the movie we got was in 1998,
Yes.
set in the far-off year of 2020.
Oh,
Dun,
wow.
dun, dun.
It would be, wouldn't it?
And
Oh,
now
wow.
we're here in 2018, and this is set in the far-off year of like 30 years is from now. Bad at math.
48?
2048. Which, like, there's that weird cyclical nature of it, and then there was also a very, very short-lived pilot of Lost in Space that was starring Mockingbird.
I don't know, but they reused the sets in Battlestar Galactica. That's the Pegasus. That's
Yeah.
all I know about that version. John Woo's Lost in Space.
Yes. Oof.
I think it's interesting. There's so much interdimensional stuff in 1 year, and we're kind of ramping up after the Rick and Morty thing, the Spider-Verse, that show. Like, there's a lot more interdimensional. If you're a mushroom or LSD partaker, it reminds you of like when the Matrix kind of evolved and everyone started referring to things as the Matrix. Now it's common pop culture lexicon to be like talking about other dimensions,
Multiverses,
and kids are learning about multiverses and interdimensional travel at a very young age. So I'm really curious how much it's going to change the culture and society when we're like, what if I made this choice and now I'm a new me in another dimension, and then drugs.
So since it's also the year of Spider-Man, who is your favorite Spider-Man? Because Spider-Verse has taught us that every version of Spider-Man is a different Spider-Man.
Ben Reilly's my guy. Ben Reilly represents when great power being too much of a responsibility. I like the idea of reality shattering to such an extent you don't know if you are truly yourself. I like the idea of meeting you and having a full identity crisis, and Ben Reilly represents the full shattering of one's own psyche. To me, I read into the character too much.
Sure.
But
even the Ben Reilly that was recently in the comics, the Jackal that was cloning everybody. And
you know, Dan Slott writes words that some people enjoy. Some people, I'm not in that group, but Dan Slott people love. He takes characters I enjoy and he does the opposite of what I think I'd do with them. So I really have a hard time when he made like Spider-Man Tony Stark for 5 years. But for me, Ben Reilly represents the 90s excess meets identity crisis. He dyes his hair blonde. He works at a coffee shop like a character in Friends. Yeah. He's got an edgy costume with a sweatshirt and just red. Like, to me, he's all pouchy. To me, he's 90s excess, which I appreciate because I'm a late 80s kid, and he's an identity psyche shattering experience. And I think that everyone as an adult, adulthood isn't actually a thing that happens. You don't like go, oh, now I'm an adult. Your psyche just shatters to the point where you realize that you're never going to be complete. And
tying it back to This Is Us.
Tying it back to This Is Us. So Ben Reilly represents the moment adulthood is a thing.
Cue the music.
A weird guy, you guys. You untethered me. I'm not in a show with a restriction. Just going for it.
Hey, look, every This Is Us reference I get. Every This Is Us. I mean, I'll be hating on Venom all day at this table.
This Is Us.
You got me. Remember the Stallone episode?
Oh, man, that was so powerful.
Yeah, that was so
reflecting
good.
his dad love of Stallone.
Mine,
and
right?
Milo working with Stallone on Rocky Balboa. Love that
What am I saying? Creed 2 was awesome. Oh, all right.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Creed 2, you guys.
Shall we?
The retirement of Stallone's Rocky.
God, man.
And a beautiful nod to Rocky 4.
Yeah.
Training in the desert instead of the tundra of Russia, mirroring the training montage of Rocky 4.
You can't see the hair on my forearm standing up right now.
Spidey sense
But
is tingling.
it's certainly tingling right now.
Ivan Drago's son being that awesome and then making you care about the Dragos with 20 minutes of montages, and montages underappreciated.
just
Coming
wait till
back.
Creed 3
Well,
when it's against the Clubber Lang.
Give me Clubber Lang's kid all day.
You gotta be first in
I'm
line.
Lang's nephew.
I pity you. Yeah. Hey, woman. Hey,
I'm
woman.
my uncle.
Rhonda Rousey as Clubber Lang's daughter.
What?
She adopted. Different
Adopted?
strokes.
Oh,
Different strokes, but reverse.
wow.
Mr.
So
T's daughter, Miss
Clubber
T.
Lang's the Mr. Drummond.
But I love the narrative switch, and this we're going full spoilers. At the end, Adonis is about to kill Kid Drago. Like, he's about to kill that dude, and it's Ivan that throws in the towel to save his son.
First time a towel's been thrown in the Rocky franchise history.
Wow.
Which is cool because that they talk about it in every movie, but it never gets thrown. So I really like
Yeah,
all
because
these.
the whole point of 4 was them not throwing in the towel.
So it mirrors.
Right.
There's so many opposites in that film: desert, cold.
I changed my pick. Creed 2 movie of the year.
You just pitched
What am
Creed
I-
2
oh
so
my
well.
God, yes. What am I saying?
Creed 2 is incredible, and it makes you want to work out every day.
I feel like Stephen Caple did a great job with Creed 2. It's still, I'm that guy. I'd just rather watch Creed again.
Creed 1
It
is.
didn't have the visual that
It
Creed
didn't have
did.
what Rachel Morrison brought to it.
Yeah.
It wasn't as poetic as Creed. But Creed 2 should not have been as good as it was. There's no way a series 8 movies deep should be this good. Police Academy wasn't this good.
I think it's better. I think Rocky is better than Star Wars.
Not
I mean, I know that's a personal
jab,
jab, but like I think Rocky
look,
franchise is more consistent
Look,
than
I'm
Star
from the
Wars.
Philly area. He's like a folk hero in
And
my
so,
parts.
as far as
I-
sacrilege goes,
yes.
Well, it's a series.
You
that's
talking about
apart.
Rocky? What? So I totally get what you're saying. It's all right.
it's just consistency,
Yes.
longevity,
And
and
heart.
reinventing itself.
We have a
Heart.
statue of him.
Yeah,
Yes.
you guys understand.
Right.
There's no statue of Yoda.
There
There
is.
actually is
Is it
one
Philly?
At Lucasfilm.
Skywalker Ranch.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
Philly had a weird thing for Yoda too. It's like,
At my house.
I run up the steps
Life
in my
sucks.
hoodie, and I'm pumping up my fist next to Yoda.
I get
Yeah.
on Muppet's back and I just run around.
Right.
Cardio, I do. Sorry, you didn't see my. Never mind.
But I think Rocky. I mean, the thing with Creed 1 is I think Creed might be as good as Rocky as far as like the first movie, and that's saying a lot because
Yeah.
Rocky redefined
Yeah,
sports
well,
movies.
yeah.
So for me, it goes Creed, Rocky 1, and then very closely Rocky 2, Creed 2, very closely Rocky 4,
Oh,
Rocky 3.
wow,
Like,
right?
The only thing Creed 2 was missing was that Michael B. Jordan just knocks the head off of Ivan Drago's son. It goes flying everywhere. And then Stallone's like, yo, Adrian would have loved this.
and they solved the Cold War again.
We started this whole new one. After
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I think we're in the middle of a golden age. And Coy, to jump off a point that you're making, that people just shouldn't bitch all the time or just be negative, because we got good stuff going on right now.
Constantly.
We have so many things that should not work. There was a time where we would have, if we had Black Panther, it would have been Reggie Hudlin, it would have been Keenan Ivory Wayans,
Oh,
as
God.
King T'Challa lost
Oh,
in
no.
L.A.
Hey. I would have seen a Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Man.
It just would have been, I'm going to get you, sucker, too.
There's so many good movies we temporarily forgot about Creed 2. There's so many shows we haven't all watched them all.
Mhm.
We're
Right.
living in a golden age of content.
We really are.
Yeah, we're in peak, people say peak TV. I think we're in peak culture right now.
Peak content.
Yeah.
Peak content,
For
yeah.
sure.
Because I'm going to count
For sure.
streaming, I'm going to count music, I'm going to
Cobra
count TV,
Kai?
I'm going to count...
Cobra
Yeah.
Kai.
I love
Kai.
Cobra,
The
right?
same team that did Harold and Kumar. It was Schlossberg and they're the ones that are behind Cobra Kai. The
Yeah.
same people that did the Harold and Kumar movies. So shout out to them as well. We have tons of good stuff. I have YouTube Premium, Hulu, Amazon, Netflix. I don't have time to watch them all. My dad's on my Netflix. I have frenemies on my Hulu. They'd be like, look, I don't like you, but I respect you. Here's my Hulu account. So we have
Wow.
we have too much content going on right now.
I think there's actually only one Hulu account in the entire world, and we all just share it.
So I think my favorite, it's not even TV. It's every single time a new Netflix special drops for comedy, I watch it. And we're living in a golden age of stand-up.
Bumping mics.
Bumping Mics is brilliant. 3 Mics, which I didn't catch last year.
Mhm.
Neil Brennan's special is brilliant. Chris Rock's new special is incredible. Ellen's special is really good.
Adam Sandler's.
Adam Sandler's shockingly
that's
good.
shocking.
Really?
Joe Rogan's my favorite stand-up working because Joe Rogan's my spirit animal. If you guys don't know me very well, he is a guy that loves UFC, loves fight training, loves working out, loves acid, loves talking.
Where I work at, people listen to his podcast all the time.
That's
I'm just
all,
saying.
like 3 hours of drive, and I'm happy to
Yeah.
do.
Mhm.
So Joe Rogan's special is as good as his podcast build up to, but it's more shocking because we're so sensitive 2018. Like, his special is the most, like, whoa, I've heard in a while that wasn't just going for that. It wasn't trying to be sensationalized.
Right.
So his special is really good. But every Netflix special, they're really putting out great content consistently.
Yeah.
So as far as the TV movement, I'd say Netflix's comedy is my 2018 pick.
Oh, all right.
Well, tying things back to Hulu, Marvel, and This Is Us,
Runaways.
Runaways shares the
Yeah.
same composer
Oh, no way.
as This Is Us. I actually interviewed the composer of This Is Us, Siddhartha, and I said, "So how do you do it?" He goes, "Basically, I just watch the playback, noodling on my guitar, and then once I start to cry, that's when I know I've got it."
That is the best. That's the most This Is Us answer ever. That could be in like the opening music, Swell, where he's just crying over it like, yes, this is us. That Runaways is also really, really special.
Season
Runaways
2 just dropped yesterday from when we're recording this.
somehow Runaways makes you identify with parents and kids simultaneously. It reminds you what childhood was like while showing you what adult responsibility is like, and you're rooting for villains and heroes simultaneously. That only Daredevil and Runaways have captured that for me. Only Daredevil made me go, Kingpin, he's got some ideas.
I don't think even the comic did that. So
To
yeah,
such a
right.
level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's
The
really
Runaways
something.
comic?
Yeah, the Runaways.
Oh, the Runaways comic book is the original series by Brian K. Vaughan.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's
as
brilliant.
far as the focus on the parents and the
Well,
children.
I had to do something different
'cause
in its tone.
Brian K. Vaughan thought he was getting canceled every two issues.
Yeah.
He was chasing a deadline, so he said he always wanted to go into the parents, but they never had time.
okay.
So he's a consultant on the show. So what Runaways the show allows is for Brian K. Vaughan's vision to be fully accomplished, which I think is really cool. That a medium translation allows for the original creator's full version of reality, and I think that's what we're living in this golden age of content. And like that Spider-Verse with Miles Morales. I love Brian Michael Bendis. I think Sarah Pichelli's brilliant. I love that run of the comics, but I think Uncle Aaron and the Uncle Ben parallel landed better in Spider-Verse. I love that the great power means great responsibility translated through animation translated better than Uncle Aaron being a bad guy and more nefarious. I think the movie really showed you that you can have a bad element in your life and get a good thing out of it.
Yeah.
And the movie really landed an incredible message for a lot of kids, especially kids growing up in Brooklyn right now.
Yeah. There's this whole like pop culture sort of being our moral guardian as far as like, like with Stan Lee. One shout out to Stan Lee for I've been reading his old soapboxes, and they were really progressive as far as like how to conduct yourself and how important it is just to be good. And not everything is, black and white and cut and dry. So yeah, with Uncle Aaron and Miles sort of being this dark parallel, sort of really, it almost turbocharges it. Like Miles Morales only has 2 days to become Spider-Man, and he does because he's just gone through too much. Like he had made a promise to Parker, he made a promise to his uncle, he made a promise to his dad. He has the world on his shoulder, and he carries it. It's just really touching. And it's like I look at our politicians, I look at the people like in Wall Street and whatnot. I would just wish they all just read more comics. I wish they all just like tried to live in a more moral direction. And I feel like content, pop culture does not get enough credit for saying, like these are our Aesop's fables. These are our Grimm's
Yeah, it's
tales.
modern myths, man. We're living in like
Yeah.
the moral compass. I agree is missing in a lot of the older generation. And as a general 2018, R.I.P. Stan Lee, and with a side of bleep 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 bleep, bleep Bill Maher, whatever word you want to put in there, that dude can rock slowly and painfully.
Dude can go apart.
Yeah, he can deal with his choices later. But I think that we are living in an age where the mainstream media is finally catching on that comics aren't just for kids,
Right.
except for certain dinosaurs. And I think that we're seeing kids get a generation of knowledge ahead of their time, because you're not thinking when you're watching a cartoon, I'm learning, but you're subconsciously going like, oh, make a good choice.
All right. Yeah. Oh, don't judge people by how they look. Yeah.
Anyone can wear the mask. Spider-Verse.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Man, I love that movie.
So beautiful. You can wear the mask. Like when he said this, like there's so many kids in the hood, kids of color that needs to hear that.
How many times are we like? I love that we keep looping back to Sony films. Venom, Spider-Verse. Like, if you told me in 2017 that Sony would be the winner of the
I
year,
think Sony they got tired of losing money. They were just hemorrhaging everything. White House down too. Like, no, you need
What
to
are you
go.
doing?
I like White House Down.
You like everything they do.
But I mean, Marvel didn't slow down. They're still incredible, but Sony was the surprise. It was the underdog story.
Yeah.
This was Mighty Ducks. Like, Sony was Mighty Ducks this year. So we're all like, yeah, you got the knuckle puck.
Like after the hack and everyone saw the emails where they're like, Kevin Feige is secretly like, hey, come over here, give me Spider-Man.
Uh-huh.
They're just like, and he's like, nobody likes Andrew Garfield. Give me Spider-Man.
Fix it.
Come on, I know you want to do Secret Six and all that other crap. No, give me Spider-Man.
But Men in Black looks great. I think
Yeah.
they've learned from a lot of mistakes. Those emails leaking helped them.
It really did, because it got a lot of the more problematic people that were up at the top out of the way,
Right.
which is also part of what makes Venom not work. Like, the movie itself is hot garbage. Like, nobody needed the drone chase through San Francisco. With,
That was an old Avia Rod
Yeah.
script.
no one cares about that. And granted, all of the Venom graphics looks exactly the same. Like, they just had those files saved from Spider-Man 3. Like, Raimi
Oh,
Spider-Man
yeah.
3. They're like, we're going to do Venom. We've got half of it pre-vizzed out.
Control S. We got him.
And then Todd... Hardy just came in and just, like, freaked out. And they're like, okay, paste.
How much fun did that dude have in that movie?
Oh.
Like, he got to just, like, freak exercise some demons, man. He got to just live.
Yeah. But that's where it because Venom's not supposed to work without Spider-Man.
Right.
He is a foil to the Peter Parker character.
Yeah, and it didn't.
Well, that's what made it feel so retro. That's what made it feel 90s. It's like, screw it, we don't have Spider-Man, here's Venom anyway. That's exactly what they would have done in the early aughts and the late 90s.
And I didn't mind the early 90s flavor because we have so many superhero movies now that I need things to be mixed up. I need to shake it up sometimes. And, like, we've done the different genre films. We've done... everyone talks about Guardian Space Opera, Heist Film Ant-Man. Like, it's such a tired trope to be like, they're mixing it up. But at the same time, we also need movies to be different styles beyond genre. And the style of the 90s doesn't usually work. And arguably, Venom didn't work, except that it did because it didn't. And that is a bold choice that will never strike again. Like, that lightning can't strike again. Doing something so bad it works.
Just like Deadpool 2.
Right.
Deadpool 1 was purposefully going to be small. Fox was scared. They didn't want to do a rated R movie and then throw an X-Man in there.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, Colossus. No one really cares about him. He's Russian. And the horse trading that went on with Negasonic Teenage Warhead, because
And
that
Ego,
was
yeah.
part of the Marvel universe, and they're like, well, we want Ego, and they're like, okay, sure.
What a crazy switch. This character named Negasonic Teenage Warhead for Ego the Living Planet. When Jack Kirby's like, yeah, you guys.
But then we get Deadpool 2, which the director of Deadpool 1 wasn't on board with, because he wanted to keep Deadpool 2 as a small, weird movie.
Mm-hmm.
But Ryan Reynolds and Fox was like, no. We've got cable. We need to make this as big and as crazy as possible. And it doesn't quite work as well as Deadpool 1. Even with the addressing that they do with Once Upon a Deadpool, where they have Fred Savage voicing all of the dissenting opinions about Deadpool 2.
Inspired.
About fridging Vanessa.
Yeah. The cable rant. That 3-minute cable rant is so good and so comic-y.
All of these things where they're like, and even addressing you can't just write better, you calling out bad writing as bad writing.
Yeah.
I wanted Once Upon a Deadpool to be the Deadpool 2 that it should have been, but it was still just like, here's a turd that we just wrapped in gold tinfoil instead of regular tinfoil.
I think Deadpool 2 was important to try, and I think it was fun. I think the heart of Deadpool 1 can't be overstated.
No,
I think that Tim Miller really discovered. Deadpool 2 felt like the Deadpool comic that casual readers read Deadpool. Yeah. Deadpool 1 felt like the heart of Deadpool when Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness wrote the book. Like, it's just, there's a different way to write Deadpool, and I loved Deadpool 2. It's a lot of fun. I'm not shit-talking Deadpool 2, but Deadpool 1 is one of the best comic movies of all time, hard stop.
I just want to 2 questions. Is Once Upon a Deadpool worth money?
Do you have an MC A-list?
I do.
Then yes.
Use
Okay,
that.
got it.
Yeah.
Using A-list for that. And 2,
Sorry, Rob.
one, I was head over heels in love with John Wick, so I was going to watch everything the John Wick dudes did. I think one of them stayed on with the franchise, and the other one has since done Atomic Blonde, and he did Deadpool 2,
Right.
and is now doing Hobbs and Shaw. I have to say, after Deadpool 2, because my expectations were sky high, and I'm a little less excited for Hobbs and Shaw. I don't know if that dude is a 1-trick or 1.5 trick pony.
It's that kind of like, well, these two are magic. How are they separate? Oh, like with Matt Vaughn. Matt Vaughn is Guy Ritchie's secret sauce.
That's what you're saying, yeah.
Their movies together, with the exception of Swept Away.
Oh, really?
Madonna.
Madonna, when Guy Ritchie was
when they were married.
I thought that was when Vaughn
On the
left.
beach?
I thought he did
No,
Stardust. and
Choices got made.
Wow.
Vaughn might have walked away at that point, but he was still credited on that.
Okay.
But then Vaughn went off and did Stardust, and Stardust was phenomenal.
Yeah. Layer Cake, Stardust. He's been on.
I love Matt Vaughn, man. I like Guy Ritchie too.
But Guy Ritchie is basically the British version of Tim Burton, where you're like, I really like your early stuff. What good have you done for me lately in the past 20
Oh, don't
years?
worry. Aladdin's coming and it's going to be great.
So
Hashtag sarcasm.
Yeah, that's going to be the next topic.
2017, one of my top 10 of the year was King Arthur. I'm that guy.
Oh.
I love King Arthur. I like Guy Ritchie a lot. Like, I think King Arthur is an underappreciated
sorry.
myth.
Yeah.
My taste is weird. I'll own it.
What did you think of Rock and Rolla?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah. I
Oh.
liked.
I know I'm weird. I love
Tom
British
Hardy was in
action
Rock and Roll,
kickers.
right?
Yeah,
He
man.
was great in Rock and Roll.
Handsome Rob.
Well, Tom Hardy's great in everything he does.
But that was like the first thing outside of Star Trek Nemesis that I saw him in. So I
Oh,
was
watch
like,
Bronson, man.
Ooh,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I heard. Yeah.
Bronson's one of the most important.
That's
movies.
Nicholas Winding
Yeah,
Refn, right?
his
Oh,
first.
yeah,
It's a Kubrick experiment.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's really special.
And he did great in this one movie where he's just in a car. It was written by
Locke.
Stephen Knight. Okay, yes.
Tom Hardy's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got
he's
that whole IMDb up here.
He's great. So it's a good thing that Venom had someone like.
That movie would not have worked without. And with that, Venom 2018. It's weird how I just keep the stuff stored up here. So speaking of Venom in 2018,
Eric just crying in a corner now.
Well, let me ask you this, because a lot, years bleed into each other. I don't want to spend too much time talking about 2019. Spider-Man: Far From Home got announced from Sony, kind of ruining the end of Avengers Endgame, because part of it, and it would be interesting if they wanted to do a Lars von Trier where nobody comes back and everyone dies, and that's the end of the Marvel Studios universe. Yeah, they're going to go that way, but still, it takes a little bit of the wind out of the sails.
Well, because I was looking at it as there are 2 years between Civil War and Infinity War, as far as things are going in the Marvel Universe are concerned. So, Far From Home could have been like Spider-Man's junior and senior
Like a
year in
mid-quote
high
or
school.
something.
They
Yeah.
shouldn't have said that it comes after. They could
But
have gotten away
then
with that. theory.
Sony's like, there's another Spider-Man, and it takes place right after Infinity War. And then Kevin Feige's just like, I said not say anything!
Amy Pascal's just like, what are we not supposed to say? Oh, louder?
It's your loudmouth
Yeah.
kid cousin. I keep going back to that meme where like she's like talking about like she's talking all about and Spider-Man's gonna be in it, and then Kevin Feige's face is just
Amy Pascal's good at making good decisions.
Yeah.
Especially we're seeing with Sony. Amy Pascal has steered Sony in the right direction. It's just she doesn't have that ability like Kevin Feige does to mislead. She just
Well,
and some people just
in
don't.
this day and age you have to do three-dimensional chess. That's the thing.
I also wouldn't give her that much like credence because she's also the one that said, here you go, Adam Sandler, $100 million to make as many movies as you want.
She was the one?
Yeah.
Oh.
She just loved Waterboy too much. She got confused.
But then, like, Netflix did the same thing, and we got Ridiculous 6.
Oh, yeah.
2019, I think that the dynamic between Jake Gyllenhaal and Andrew Garfield is going to be the thing that makes Far From Home so special. I think that, well, the way I'm seeing
Wait,
it is...
Andrew Garfield? Jake
I mean,
Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal. Because I was thinking of Spider-Man. Jake Gyllenhaal was effectively cast in Spider-Man 2 as Tobey Maguire hurt his back, wanted more money, and Jake Gyllenhaal was going to step in as Spider-Man, and he, to me, has always been my Spider-Man. Jake Gyllenhaal, I think, is the J. Michael Straczynski Spider-Man. He's that like young adult Spider-Man. I think he's got every piece of the Spider-Man puzzle. I think him not being Spider-Man is a giant loss in comic culture. So when I look at Spider-Man, like the John Hughes element of Homecoming is you've got the father-son in Keaton, Tom Holland, and you've got the villain son situation. I think what they're going to do with Jake Gyllenhaal is it's going to be the little brother, big brother betrays him. So I think Jake Gyllenhaal and Tom Holland are going to become friends by way of Spider-Man and Mysterio. Mysterio is going to pretend to be a good guy like he was in the comics for a bit, probably hired by S.H.I.E.L.D., which they've alluded to in the synopsis. And then the elementals that Spider-Man's attacking are basically from Mysterio, but he's pretending to fight them. And then he's going to get betrayed by the big brother that is Jake Gyllenhaal because it's a bait-and-switch casting choice because Jake Gyllenhaal's almost Spider-Man. So you cast a Spider-Man type to be the foil to the new Spider-Man, and then you've got the John Hughes element of betrayal, which is very Shakespearean.
That is amazing. You just saved me $20.
2019!
Dude.
That also ties back to Aquaman.
I just predicted the 3-act structure of Spider-Man.
You
Far
Yeah.
From Home.
love
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
I love, dude.
Like,
You got no idea, man.
yeah, like you're just like
I got a problem.
I mean,
Since I was 4, man. I've got 16,000 comics. Almost 17,000 comics.
oh wow,
That's why I talk for a living.
So,
Dude, and you're good at it. I gotta say, I'm very
So
impressed.
do you have a second apartment that your girlfriend doesn't know about?
I've got my family on the East Coast where they moved. They kept my comics for me. They have 37 long boxes. They're keeping an eye
Oh
on.
my god!
I've got like 9 long boxes out here. 37 of them are on the East Coast.
Are you like personally CGCing them?
Well, actually, since my brain's so OCD, I know where each comic is in the box. So I sort them alphabetically and chronologically. So if I'm missing a book or want to know the format of the book, I can call my mom and be like, "Hey, mom, 5th box from the left, in the back row, a third of the way into the box, issue 17 is the cover, blah blah blah," and then she can tell me because it's all stored.
Wow.
here.
So this is like Unbreakable, where you have like a real life origin of a superhero. I think
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I
man.
don't know. I think Coy could very easily go super villain.
Yeah,
Right?
with that
It's
kind
like,
of that beautiful mind, like chug, 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 chug.
he really just needs to like cut himself shaving once, and he's going to turn into Doctor Doom.
That Zach Galifianakis meme with the numbers, that's how I do everything. That's how I walk around. Like, my brain, I do prime numbers out of my odometer while I'm driving because I get bored. Like, I just dissect things like that.
I want to just yell nerd derisively.
No. I'm glad he's on our side.
I'm owning it,
Yeah.
man. I gotta
Yeah.
accept it.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
I mean,
that's Spider-Man
Davey's
is,
the TV villain, but
what's funny is I
Real
look
life
like
villain.
I look like a Flash Thompson, but I am a Peter Parker, and that's been such a struggle for, like, hosting-wise. Like, trust me, I'm a nerd. Yeah, okay, guy.
yeah. What do you lift, bro?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm bitching 225. I got this Boston tee on, but I totally love comics.
You know, I love that Chris Pine is like the perfect Peter Parker
Yes!
in the Spider-Verse because he's another good-looking guy who's weird as fuck. Brad Pitt, good-looking, weird.
Dude,
like so many-
character actors trapped in leading man bodies
Yep.
are the most fascinating actors in the game. When
And-
Brad Pitt gets untethered, it's beautiful.
Oh yeah, The Big Short. Go see him in The Big Short, where he's like an actual normal
Yeah.
person, and you believe Brad
I
Pitt's a
didn't know
normal
it was
person.
Brad Pitt until like halfway through the movie. I was like,
Wait.
oh, is that Brad Pitt?
Dude, Chris Pine in Smoking Aces.
Oh, yeah,
Chris
yeah.
Pine in, what was that other
Well,
one?
that was before he was really big.
He did a recent one, Stretch, about a stretch limo.
Yeah.
Where
He
he's,
was in that one?
He's the bad guy. He's under so much makeup you don't recognize him. Chris Pine is an incredible character actor that never gets to play. Also, Chris Pine is like the most down to earth, coolest, handsome guy. He's too handsome to be as cool as he is. Chris Pine's awesome. So the more work he gets, the better.
And also check
someone was in Star Wars. Or
Star Trek
3.
Into Darkness. Worked with Chris for 5 weeks. Great guy. No, but I think that it's important to know that. Yeah, I was the Nibberins. Have you seen the Star Trek Into Darkness?
Yes.
Those white aliens?
You
This guy.
did you ever know that you're my
Basically,
hero?
all they did was they shaved him.
Yeah, I was just real Irish as an alien.
Put some flour on it. All right, we got it. We got it.
But I just
Wow.
think it's important to hear the
Idris
other
Elba
side.
was in Coy face.
I think it's important to hear the other side of celebrity. We gossip a lot. Like, it's like the Spider-Man game thing. We gossip a lot about the ones that aren't doing well and the ones that don't get enough credit or the ones that are, like, bad. But Chris Pine goes out of his way to be kind to people, goes out of his way to talk to people, treats everyone in the crew great, knew everyone in the crew's name.
That's cool.
I'm sorry, this is gonna sound like humble brag, I'm sorry, internet. I got hurt on the set of Star Trek, not bad. I fell into a hole and sprained my knee, so it was a stunt guy on it. And Chris Pine had a different trailer, and he had a masseuse that was helping him on a certain day. And he was like, hey, go help him out instead, and like sent his masseuse over to help my leg,
Wow.
and like took care of me. And I was like, homie? Like, what, we don't know me? Like, and I just think that
You and Chris Pine are masseuse brothers.
yeah, we're the weirdest Eskimo bros. But I think it's really important to hear that side of celebrity that you don't hear a lot. Like, he's a really good dude that really helps people out. And he is Spider-Man. He is the guy from Wonder Woman. He is all these things. So it sounds like a name drop, but I just think that people need to hear that stuff too.
Also, in a far less cooler note, check out A Very Spidey Christmas EP
Yes!
on YouTube and Spotify with Chris Pine and Jake Johnson and Shamik Moore singing on it. It is fantastic. And even though it's only 10 minutes long, I've listened to it 16 different times.
It's my new Christmas song for
great,
sure.
yeah. Spidey Bells, Goblin Little Egg.
So before we run into like a 3-hour podcast, you just want to go into what we want for 2019, and because I got to wrap. So.
Yeah. Let's go into everyone's hopes, dreams, how they think Infinity War.
Chris Pine and Venom 2.
Hey, he'd be perfect.
It'd be great. I don't care.
Right,
Nice. I'm in.
Oh my God.
Eric, so I guess that's your bid.
Wait.
2019, sure.
2019, Chris
Oh,
Pine,
you
Venom
want to
2.
kick us off? I got to think.
There's been a lot of speculation with Infinity War 2, whatever, or Endgame, now that we know the official title of it. There were the leaked photos of current day Tony Stark seeing Avengers 1 when the Chitauri first attacked. So we see Captain America in A1 costume, and then we also see Jeremy Renner running around with he's wearing a robe, but he's got the Ronin shin guards on, and we also saw him as Ronin in the Endgame trailer. There's a lot of time travel-y, timey-wimey things that people are thinking that's what's going to ultimately happen, that Ant-Man is going to use the quantum realm because Michelle Pfeiffer had a throwaway line in "Don't get lost in time" at the end of
Ant-Man and
I
the
wish
Wasp.
you would have just
Wasp.
licked yourself at that moment, like that.
So, like, what ostensibly is a throwaway line is going to be the crux that Avengers is set upon. I don't think it's really a time shifting thing. I think it's an alternate universe thing because general audiences now understand that alternate universes are kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like ooh, this is so scary. Even Voltron. Voltron Season 8 ended with a hunt through the multiverse for Voltron. If you haven't seen Voltron, way better than it should be, which most things on Netflix are. But Voltron just ended with that. I think going forward, because Kevin Feige has also said after Avengers 4, the face of the Marvel Universe is going to be very different. This also coincides with characters aging
It's
out.
going to be full of DC characters.
We're getting new universe. We're getting-
Amalgam
See,
Universe.
yes.
Season Phase 4.
Yes, Henry
Power
Cavill as
back.
Super Soldier.
Oh,
Henry Cavill is Captain Britain, bro.
Ooh, okay.
that would be good.
That's good.
That would be good. So I think moving forward, we're going to be shifting Earths from Earth like 66-143. Is that the MCU?
I think so.
to like 66-148. going forward.
Well, I mean, because in the comics, a lot of it gets solved by like during the Onslaught thing in
Yeah.
the '90s. They created a whole nother universe,
Heroes Reborn.
Exactly.
the Heroes Reborn universe, to solve that problem. Granted, it didn't work in the comics because it wasn't executed right, but Feige and his crew know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So going into this leap to say, hey, here's this new universe. Oh, and here's this new universe full of X-Men.
It solves a lot of problems.
Yeah.
We talked about this theory on Thanksgiving.
I have kind of a Marvel,
Where we can finally say the word mutant.
yes,
And not miracle.
which in I don't know if any of you have seen any of Runaway season 2 yet.
I saw one episode. I haven't
One
watched
episode.
it.
Too.
Because Molly Hernandez isn't still a mutant.
She's still special.
She's a different kind of special. There's a rock thing that has to do with the rainbow powers, and that's kind of what happens with her.
But that's the same
Yeah.
thing. Like when they did the Ultimate Universe mutants, they were revealed to have been like a science
genetic
experiment. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like,
We're getting off topic here.
Yeah.
What do you want for 2019?
Yeah.
Avengers, like, I want the deaths that happened in Avengers to stay and just leave us with that, like,
Well, yeah, their contracts are
everyone's-
up. Of course, those debts are
well,
gonna
like,
stay.
But Black
but
Panther
going
and
forward,
Tom Holland's are.
everything else is
But, like,
basically just
Evans,
like
Downey
Right.
Jr.
we took a left turn instead of a right turn back at this point in this universe that is slightly different.
Mhm.
It's not we have to rewind time and then undo all the stuff that's going to be bad, because that, like Deadpool 2, just takes the stakes out of everything.
Right.
So, yeah, I just really want Avengers 4 to not suck, but I have no fear that it will.
Yeah,
All of
we're-
2019
yeah.
is based around one
Could
hope
you just
that
make
isn't that fearful.
Is there a safer bet to make?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, but
I
it's not
mean,
going to do
come
2
on.
billion, and it's going to disappoint some people.
Yeah.
Like, you'll-
It has to disappoint some people
Yeah.
because people can't all be pleased.
Yeah.
I agree with so expounding on that theory was I think the Spider-Man we get in Far From Home isn't our Tom Holland. It's a new Tom Holland from a
Yeah.
new dimension. I think the reason we announced Shang-Chi is because the new dimension is going to be more global. At the end of the day, so much has been set in New York. So much of Marvel is in New York. They're going to expand. It's going to be more worldly. That's why I think Captain Britain is going to show up in Spider-Man Far From Home. I think Captain Britain's already been cast. We haven't heard about it yet. I think Phase 4 is going to take place in a new dimension. I think what happens is we go through the alternate universe that Ant-Man sets out to. The reason Ant-Man is in the end of that trailer is because they follow Ant-Man, and
Yeah.
I think there's a chance that Captain America in that trailer is already in New Dimensions Cap, and that Ant-Man, when he's knocking on that door, is in the new dimension. I think everything in that trailer except for Tony Stark might be in a different dimension.
Wow.
So when we
Wow.
land, new beardless Cap is in fact our new Dimensions Cap.
Because also his costume is different.
Yep.
He's back in
The
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier.
And it's a
costume.
slightly modified Winter Soldier
Yeah.
costume. I think everything in that trailer, except for Tony Stark, is in a new dimension. I think Ant-Man
We're
is our
following
tie through to it.
Ant-Man.
Yep, into a new dimension. That's how he gets out. He doesn't realize when he gets out it's a new world. And that gives us all new characters, gives us Black Panther back, it gives us a Shuri option, it gives us all the things we want from the movie, and that gives us all the shots from the trailer with those characters missing.
Yeah.
We can solve it while having the stakes of people being like, oh, Marvel doesn't have any stakes. No, those characters die. Welcome to Earth.
Yeah.
I feel like Marvel's just going to come knocking on this door right now. Shut up.
Which
Yeah.
We bought out Red Carpet
Right.
Report, and we're shutting this down.
anytime we've like interviewed someone from a Marvel thing and even joked about spoilers, they all have this like really like like nervous laughter, and they looking through the corners. And there's
So these are all theories. We don't know
Yeah.
anything beyond what we're
No.
allowed to do. I interview Marvel actors constantly. No one's told me a thing. I just think that it's really important that we get to have this fun and play with. If we're right, we're sorry.
There's secrets.
or we could be completely
Secrets are
wrong. Maybe.
I think it'd be really a good take. I think
Yeah.
that's what I'd do.
I think we're going to come back to this in a few months and like, okay, wow.
They're masters of the misdirect.
Right.
Like, how many shots were there of the Hulk running through the Wakanda
Exactly.
jungle?
Yeah, right.
And interdimensional stuff, like we were talking about an hour ago, is prevalent in pop culture. So it wouldn't be that jarring for an audience,
Exactly.
because especially with Spider-Verse doing so well.
Davey?
2019, I just really want Thanos to host the Oscars. That's all I really want. I mean, who else deserves it more? Like, I love Matt Fowler on Twitter had a great thread about it, and is like a lot of jokes about it, but it would fit like Meryl Streep accepting an award on the stage, like, I've decided I'm going to cut my speech in half, and then a computer Thanos just giving her the thumbs up. He's on the red carpet in the interview. So, Thanos, what are some of your favorite movies of the year? Annihilation. Wait, are you just naming movies about what you did? Boy Erased.
Jeez.
There's only one Oscar host.
Thanos we're going to be a
What's that?
way better host for the Oscars.
Oh yeah.
And then like he's like, oh, I see Black Panther was nominated for Best Picture. I should probably apologize for him not being here today.
Too soon, David. But no, seriously, shout out to Kim Jeong for being in the running for hosting. Maybe even Mr. Randall Park. I would not mind that.
What
He's
is like
hilarious.
a more thankless job to either be performing at the Super Bowl halftime show or the Oscars?
VMAs.
Ugh.
Is it still a thing?
Hey, thanks for watching the VMAs. All right, here's a bunch of people you actually care about. All right, him and the Scotch.
Okay.
Do you remember when Dave Chappelle was supposedly a host?
No,
of the
he was
VMAs?
smart, man, and he showed up for maybe 1 minute. He's
Yeah.
like, hey, all right, bye.
All right.
2019.
Eric?
2019, I want to see J.J. Abrams hit it out of the park with
Ooh.
Episode 9. A lot of haters on The Last Jedi. I didn't hate it, but I can see the complaints. So
No, I loved it, and fight me on it. Fight me on Last Jedi.
I'm not going to fight you.
I want to get like a 1986 panel van and just have 2 scenes from The Last Jedi painted on it. That Starfleet battle where Holdo just like samurai
Oh, yeah.
slices through them
yeah.
all, and then the throne room scene.
That was badass, right? Yeah, exactly.
It's my favorite since Empire.
Yeah.
Fight me on it.
See, there's a lot to love about Last Jedi, but I think J.J. Abrams is going to be fan service galore. I think he's going to hit it out of the park. I think we're going to be sitting in that theater and be like, thank you. And that's going to end the Skywalker saga,
Yeah.
and we're all going to leave satisfied.
I've been reading Dune, and there's so many parallels between that and Star Wars. I keep forgetting how much of a potpourri A New Hope was. And Lucas was smart about what he would crib from, and even in the prequels. So even though the prequels were wooden and strange and have not aged well, they still pull from all these wonderful bits from John Carter, from Blade Runner, from this and that. And Force Awakens, which I adored,
Loved
is
it.
derivative, and you can't defend the derivativeness of it. Last Jedi was not, and I think paid for it, because Force Awakens was this comforting hug from this cousin that looks like your grandparent that just passed, and you needed that. And Last Jedi was your bitter uncle who was a National Merit Scholar and was smarter than you and doesn't care if you like him or not. So
I like that very
Kevin
much.
is projecting, but
Wow.
2019 for me, we got so many movies I'm looking forward to. Glasses in January, Detective Pikachu in the summer,
Woo.
all
yeah.
the Marvel stuff. We got Captain Marvel Far From Home and Endgame next year is crazy. I got to talk, Shazam's next year. Joker is next
Yes.
year. Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Also got to give some love. Dude, Joker looks so good. Joker looks so good.
joke over.
Joker, Scorsese's toned Joker is going to change cinema. I also think that Lion King is going to surprise
stabbing
people.
somebody in a pen with a throat.
Give me that. I think Donald Glover as Simba is going to be crazy. I'm really excited for
yeah.
Lion King. I don't know a lot of the indies coming out next year yet because they don't announce them so early. So I'm sorry for listing like 10 blockbusters. But I think next year is going to be just like 2018 with like we're all under fire, so art's good.
and then Kev, take us home.
Jordan Peele's Us
Ooh,
trailer
that's-
drops Christmas.
I thought it was coming out on Christmas.
No, the trailer
Oh,
drops
okay,
Christmas. And Us, one thing very quickly, I'm looking forward to all the cross memes between This Is Us and Jordan Peele's Us. I
I'm ready
can't
for
wait
that.
for those. And as far as his last film, Get Out, goes, there is no feeling like being in a theater while watching Get Out and everybody screaming the title of the film at the screen. So I'm not saying that's what they'll do with Us. They'll be like, hey, Us! Us! That's not what's going to happen. But I just want to stay clear and clean and approach it cold. I don't want to know what's going on. Outside of that one trailer watch and be like, all right, Monkey Paw Productions, take me away. I trust Jordan Peele 100%, wholeheartedly, and I think people are not going to be prepared for what craziness Us is going to be. I don't want to start the hype train now, but the goods are there as far as Jordan Peele is concerned. So let's see what
I hope
happens.
it's like an in-game trailer where it doesn't give us too much, just reminds us what we want.
How do you think the rest of the Mad TV cast feel seeing like what Keegan and what Jordan have done since Mad TV?
Hey, Deborah Wilson was on Bodied on YouTube Premium, so
Yo, Body was great. Have you seen Body?
I love Bodied.
The-
Love it so much.
yeah,
Yeah,
like-
Caleb Brooke.
Artie Lang had a moment. Yeah.
I like Body a lot. Sorry, Mad TV.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Are we going to
Joseph
end it on
Kahn.
Mad TV? Yeah, Joseph Kahn's Body.
Yeah.
Also a great year 2018.
Yeah, it was good. Too much
Eminem-
content. Too much.
Marshall Mathers produced.
Ooh, yeah, Eminem produced.
Yeah.
Also, Kamikaze this year. Goddamn, Eminem's back. 2018.
Yeah.
Year of Venom. On
I
Eminem.
knew we were not gonna end this
That's the point,
one
yeah.
more
The
time.
final track on Eminem's Kamikaze
Venom.
album is, of course, Venom.
Venom.
Venom. 2018's Venom.
I think we should end it with everybody saying we are Venom.
On the count of 3, you guys.
1, 2, 3.
We are
are
Venom.
Venom.
Not Venom.
Not gonna do that. All right.
Thank you for joining us at Red Carpet Report. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a very Happy New Year.
Cool.
Venom.